Chris, you want to go ahead and get the meeting started?
Working on it. It should be there shortly.
Thank you.
There you go.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. All right. Hello, and I'd like to call together the Finance Committee meeting of Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. It is I think I want to say it's about 1:03 p.m. and we are live on a digital platform. We have 4 items on our agenda today, and present here at today's meeting so far, we have Randy Allison, Eric Biter, and myself, Liz Mealy, from the Finance Committee of City Council, as well as John Mackey from the full body of City Council. From the administration, we have Kevin Mackey in the Treasurer's Office, Skip Memmy from Community Development, Dennis Frank from the City Clerk, and I'm not sure which way she swings, and it looks like Peg Woodring's in there as well. Tracy Rash from the Finance Department, Derek Slaughter from the Mayor's Office. Oh, I see Bonnie Katz is here now too from City Council, and then Chris Black from IT. All right, the first item on today's agenda is the transfer ordinance number 5 and first reading. Mayor Slaughter?
Yes, what you have, good afternoon, members of the Finance Committee. What you have for your consideration is the transfer ordinance number 5, and this deals with the ordinance that transferring back for the reallocation of the rent. Initially, there were conversations around, I think, maybe Third Street Plaza or somewhere else. But at this time, obviously we're not planning to go anywhere at the moment. I think it's been pretty clear in public meetings that we're still working through that process. So just to ensure that we cover rent for the rest of the year.
Got it. And this will take care of, I'm just looking this. Yeah, this is, oh, well, obviously the police aren't in here, but this takes care of everyone else who pays rent within the city.
That's correct. Yes. Yep. And that's why we have Tracy on. If there's any technical questions around finance, she's here as well to answer those.
Got it. Eric, do you have any questions about this item?
I do not have any questions about the item specifically. I just have a comment. I do just want to stress to the administration that I would love to see, as we're talking about all this other stuff in combination with this, it's all come to a head this month in these last 2 meetings in a month, that we see movement as far as what the plan truly is, what your desires are as administration to stay in trade and transit 1 and 2 and so on. So that way we can start to plan accordingly and budget accordingly for the future.
Yep. And we're working through that, and I think that's what you'll hear the next item. But anyway, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I would, just for the record, I would also second that with Eric. We've been discussing a number of things around pieces of city property, and what we're really lacking is a cohesive plan that tells us where we're going. And so obviously steps to make sure that we're paying the rent in our current facility are necessary, but I think all of us would like to have a better idea of a longer term direction. Randy, comments from you?
I don't have, well, I do have one question for the mayor. Are all these rental numbers assessed on the square footage of each item, each in the list there?
Yes, that's correct. And Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, it's the square footage.
It was in the signed lease that the city signed, I'm going to say in 20, and that was all based on square.
Okay.
We have the only other one would be our public works bill, streets and parks, but that's
right
outside of this one here.
Okay, so they're all under the same blanket agreement.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Randy. And to follow up on Randy's questions, that rent number does not include utilities, correct, Tracy?
That is correct.
And have we come to any sort of greater understanding or agreement on what the utilities are and what the square footages are?
The square footage has always been reconciled, but the utilities, we just got the final piece from RVT maybe 2 weeks ago, where they finally were able to provide us backup for the utilities that they're charging. So we have through 2022 ready to be paid right now.
Okay. So we now know what our utility costs were last year, but we haven't really factored those in, or had we budgeted money for those in 2022 and were they within that budget?
They were budgeted for 2022, but I've seen the final numbers, so I can't tell you whether they were within budget at this point or not. Again, we just got weeks ago, so I have.
Okay, awesome. Well, I guess if we could get an update on that, just to tell us where we're at in terms of utility costs and whether they're under or in excess of our expectations, that would be good at some point. And then, hang on a moment. My only other question on this item was the decision to take it from legislative contingency. What was that based on? You'll pardon me, my memory is really not functioning at full capacity this week. Did we put money in legislative contingency on the assumption that we might need to transfer it into rent?
Correct. Correct. When Councilman Biter asked for it to be removed from rent, we recommended that it be put into legislative contingency in case a remedy couldn't have been time. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Tracy. Sorry. Sometimes I remember the details of where we had things and sometimes I don't. Okay. All right. Then I'm glad that at least is all above board. Okay. No other questions, gentlemen? No other concerns?
I don't.
Okay. Bonnie, John, questions or comments on this?
Liz, I got a question real quick.
Sure. Who's that? Sorry. Oh, hi, Kevin.
Yeah, when do we know if we're going to put money and refund it back into legislative contingency? Is there a plan for that, or?
Legislative contingency is something that's funded every year, just a line item in the budget.
Okay.
So
Use it with the emergency fund then.
yeah, oh yeah. Should we be putting money into something? Yes, we should. Is it legislative contingency? No,
Okay.
but yeah. But yeah, we should. So we basically fund legislative contingency. You know, it's always been, I'm not sure. I'm sure Tracy could rail against this as a decision making or as a decision. But as long as I've been on council, legislative contingency has served as both a place to put a little bit of money in case we need a little bit of money for anything, and then also a place to put larger amounts of funds if we're concerned about litigation or something like that. But the emergency fund, the reserve fund, I think is we should be trying to put more money into. I would agree with you on that, Kevin. But I think we would need to discuss specifically what that looked like, whether that was I don't know, revenues on building permits in excess of what we had budgeted, anything like that. You know, we could potentially look at that. I don't think that we'd be able to set a certain number per year, but we might be able to set it as if we exceeded our expectations in some area or another of city revenue, we could set some of that money aside for a rainy day.
Okay. Sounds good.
Liz,
Sorry.
the emergency reserve funding
Yeah.
that was established at the end of last year calls for exactly that. I don't remember exact wording, but it does say that when certain thresholds are met, that money will be transferred into the emergency reserve fund.
Right. Yeah. I don't remember what the thresholds are either. We should probably look into that. But yeah. And I think, I mean, that's a laudable goal. It's been hard. I have never really seen the city set aside money, and I think that was part of the goal of the emergency and reserve fund. I certainly hope that we will get there this year, but either way, Kevin, I agree that we should be looking at some means of replenishing funds. I don't think we haven't really drawn that fund down for all that much, but but we should certainly be looking at refilling it and building it up beyond those numbers. Okay, if I hear nothing else.
Liz, I do have a question.
For sure.
What's not on here is the finance department for their rental. And also we did have office space for the city engineer until he left, 6 weeks ago? So that's not on here either.
I think budget and fiscal officer is probably the finance department, correct, Tracy?
Yes.
And the city
Okay,
city engineer is at Streets and Parks, I believe, Bonnie.
That's correct. Yeah. City engineers up at Streets and Parks. Yeah.
okay.
And they're not on here because we pay for the expenses of the building. so we-
Okay. I didn't know where, I wanted to know if we were doing that with the city engineer, if he had any offices here other than Streets and Parks. I knew he was up there a lot. He roamed all over the place.
Yeah.
So-
Some people don't need an office, Bonnie. It is where it's
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, that was my only question.
Sure. Okay. Then the next item on our agenda, oh, pardon me, we'll flip back and forth here, is a resolution authorizing the agreement of sale of City Hall between the City of Williamsport and J-Boss Realty. One quick note, and once again, everyone else is welcome to tell me that I'm late to the game or that I missed something. My understanding is at this point, we're looking on postponing this resolution to the 28th of September. Correct, Mayor Slaughter?
That is correct. We want to do that in a public meeting, obviously, so the public is aware. But it's at this point, the 2019 audits are scheduled to be presented at the council meeting on September 28th. The city audits from Zelenkowski, Axelrod, and having that coming on the 28th, I think it, and of course, council members on here, I think they wanted to see that plays into what we're putting together, and that plays into that conversation as well regarding City Hall, city finances, all of that. So, with that coming to 28th, I talked to JBass, they were comfortable with pushing out 2 weeks in conjunction with the audits.
Got it. Thanks, Derek. But the one thing that I would request, Derek, is that even if we are removing this item from the agenda, I know the administration had said, a week and a half ago at our last council meeting, that you guys were going to prepare a kind of a plan for City Hall, or what the administration was thinking we were going to do in terms of a long-term plan. And I would personally prefer to at least start that discussion at this week's council meeting, because I think that too will somewhat inform the decisions that we make on the 28th. And but I think it would be good to begin fleshing that out this time, so that we don't leave all of that discussion for the 28th as well. So that if council has questions, we can then have another 2 weeks to maybe resolve them, or maybe have additional, get additional information. Randy and Eric, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
I would agree as well.
Okay. So yeah, I think all of us would feel comfortable trying to start that discussion and hear from the administration on that on Thursday, Derek, and then, or all of the finance committee. I know that I mentioned it to Adam earlier today, and he seemed to concur as well. So if we could at least plan to discuss that on Thursday, that'd be good. In terms of this item, Eric, I know that the ERC meeting is specifically about City Hall tomorrow. Can you tell me a little bit about what the intention is there? Is that just more of like a public venting session, or?
Yeah. So what I had proposed to a couple members of the community, and I allowed them to disperse the information to others if they wanted more time other than their 3 minutes they were allocated at a council meeting. We were going to use that form for that, and also make it public in person, so that way we didn't have anybody that couldn't log on because of Zoom access, internet access, or anything like that.
Got it. Sounds good. Yeah, just trying to kind of clarify what the intent was there.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. And I guess for the public that can log on to today's meeting, so that they know that that's going on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. All right. Given this, yes.
Sorry, I just had one thing to clarify. When you say start the discussion on Thursday night, you're speaking terms of where they ultimately will call home?
Right. I
Okay.
mean, it's not just the administration, it's city government. I mean, we also, of course, are a piece of that. We will have council chambers wherever we eventually call home. We will have, right.
Sure,
My
sure.
point is during our last meeting, Adam had requested that Derek, I guess, as Eric was saying earlier in this meeting, what's been missing, I think what all of us assumed was going to move sort of in tandem with the potential disposition of the city hall, of our old city hall building, was the acquisition and or identification of a plan for what the long-term city hall location was going to be. And that doesn't seem to have happened. That is to say, we're looking at potentially getting rid of a piece of property without necessarily having a plan for where we're going moving forward. So Adam had asked Derek to flesh that out for us so that we could all have a sense of what the administration's plan was. I would suspect for a couple of reasons that it's not feasible for us to stay put in our current spaces for that much longer. So where are we going is the question. And
Well,
that's
I
a
think-
discussion I'd like to have on Thursday.
Yeah, I understand that. And again, I guess I'll keep banging this drum, for lack of a better term, but while the administration has not laid out their plan for the future, I believe he's made it, and I don't want to speak for the mayor, he's sitting right there. The mayor's made it crystal clear that the administration has no intentions of moving back into City Hall. So in that regard, yes, maybe we don't know where we're going, but we do know where we're not going. So
Well,
now,
frankly,
now-
that would also be up to the members of City Hall, members of City Council. But that's a discussion for another time. I guess that's the point.
but
I'm looking to understand what the administration's intent is. Right
it's
now.
all part of the same discussion. And I mean, again, I have yet to have anybody tell me I'm speaking out of turn here, but as much as we want to think as city council that we have the ultimate say or a say, and I mean, yes, I suppose, can we start moving money around or not approving transfers for rents to force the mayor's hand into something that he has no intention. I mean, I suppose that's one way we can be part of the decision, but I mean, I personally don't think that that's good government. And so again, at the end of the day, I feel like for some reason we're all ignoring the elephant in the room, and that is that the mayor has said he's not moving back in to City Hall. So now that's the frame of reference we're working with. And so anyway, I'm all for having a discussion on where we're going. That's great.
Okay, sorry, John, got an unexpected visitor there. John, you and I could debate this ad infinitum. I guess what I'm not trying to do is drag everybody else through the same argument over and over and over again at a time when we don't need to have it. But Randy and Eric, were you interested in chiming in on that at all?
Well, yeah, I think it would behoove all of us, and I'm speaking myself included, that we this is kind of a divisive issue in some ways, and the public's really involved and committed as well. If we could find a way to be less adversarial, regardless of what side or inclination we are, compromise is always the best solution. And there may be things that we haven't thought of, because right now this is fraught with all kinds of tension, because in some we've created ourselves by putting out for bid the current City Hall. And we made that decision, council made that decision along with the administration. So, we are in this together. And I think I'm trying to get my mind focused in a different way. Is there a compromise? Is there a way to bring things together rather than everybody being upset with the final solution, whatever it is, that everybody could feel, hey, that's a reasonable way to go. So, and we have a long way to get there, no doubt about that. And I do agree with John in the respect of council does control the purse strings. But boy, that to me, that's a nuclear option. You know, it kind of creates a scenario where things get set in stone as far as different sides and everything. So I think there's a better way, and I'm hopeful that we're going to find that way to bring this all together to a good conclusion. And it may take a while, but that's fine. None of us are going anywhere right away. So that's all I have to say.
Randy, you're the best, as always. I certainly hope you've been working on that spiel at home this weekend and you didn't just think it all up. But no, I would agree. I think that there's a lot of room for compromise. And to be honest, I don't know, to my way of thinking, we have a handful of good options in front of us, including the option on the table to sell the property to JBus. But I think we need to make certain that everyone's satisfied with those solutions. And it isn't just about what we as city council think is right. It isn't obviously just about what it's obviously not just about what the administration wants to do. It's a city government, and that we govern for the city and we govern for the people. And so in the long run, that is also something we need to take into consideration, both in the form of what's most cost effective and also in the form of what the community wants, right? Because we have a responsibility both to taxpayers and also to our community as its municipal face, I guess. But yes, I think you're right. There's a lot of tempers and a lot of people seizing the podium right now. And that's not necessarily going to be helpful, I don't think, to making the best decision. Anyway, that said, Eric gets to listen to a whole bunch of those people tomorrow morning at 9.
And I will gladly let them have the podium.
Right. And I'm assuming that John's going to be there too, and then we will all get to talk about this more than enough in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, for the record, I'll be there too. So I'm hoping, I don't know if the seats will spill out into the street. I don't know if Janice's office is going to be able to.
I'm a little nervous about Eric's decision to have a public meeting in Janice's office.
Yeah.
But Eric, is there a Zoom option as well?
Janice, I believe she had said that she will be having it on Zoom and recording it while we're doing it. So it shouldn't be a problem. I'm sure if there's not, Mr. Black can set that up pretty quickly.
Excuse me,
for us.
I was not asked to set up a Zoom meeting for this.
Okay. Is it a possibility, Chris, or is it not?
I would have liked to have known that last week. When I
Right.
set the rest of the meetings up, I am booked solid through tomorrow morning. I
Got
can
it.
see what I can do, but I cannot guarantee.
Okay. Well, Eric, is that something you'd like? I mean, I will at some point be able to make it there tomorrow morning, but I wouldn't be able to be there by 9 unless I called in. But you tell me whether or not this is something we want to Zoom.
I would appreciate it if you can, Mr. Black, but I would not expect any miracles, and I would not hold it against you if you cannot.
I truly appreciate that.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I also think now that it sounds like we're going to have a couple more weeks to have discussions about this, that the Zoom option tomorrow might not be as important. I do really appreciate the fact that we're going to be able to sit down in person and actually just kind of have a more open conversation that's not bound by the stringent rules of a city council meeting. So at any rate, anybody that can make it tomorrow, I think it would be great. So.
Great. Okay, anybody else want to weigh in on this item that we're not actually taking any action on this week? Bonnie, you're silent. All right, let's go. Let's get moving to item number 3. Okay, guys. Hang on just one second. Sorry, I'm toggling back and forth here. Item number 3 on our agenda is a resolution authorizing the purchase of internet service through River Valley Internet. Chris Black.
Yes,
You're on
good
deck.
afternoon, everyone. This is similar to the internet that we purchased for out at Shaw Place. This will be for the camera feeds that we're going to be installing in Newbury Park, so we can bring them back and monitor them by both the police department or streets and parks, whomever actually needs them. The installation fee is $150, and it's at $70 per month, just as the other one is. And this will be coming out of my contracted services budget. Any questions?
Sorry about that, Chris. I could not unmute myself.
Oh, okay.
Eric, do you have any? What's that?
I said, oh, okay.
Okay, I don't know what was going on. Eric, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Randy?
No, I don't, but thanks for getting this moving up in Newbury, Chris.
Yeah.
Great idea and a great need.
Newbury's next, and then Los, and then next summer I plan on doing Young's and Brandon.
Okay, perfect.
Got it?
Liz, I do have a question.
Sure, Bonnie.
Chris, we are, with the IT, we are doing a lot of programs and software and so on and so forth. Is it possible for us to get a rundown of what our monthly charges are going for everything at this point?
Currently, and I had it right here until a week ago. I still have it.
And I'm very
Yes,
happy that you're
without
getting
this
it.
particular piece, I am at under $36,000 per year on contracted services
Per year.
per year.
Well, that's not, okay.
I told you I'll spend your money well.
Yeah, I know, because you brought so many things to the table and, we forget, we forget what the cost and everything. And I think I just wanted to clarify where we stood financially. Very good. Okay. That's good.
There is a few, there's this and one other. No, that's on here. The IT glue is on here. So yeah, 35, 359, 39 before this particular piece per year.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Oh, that's not counting how much we'll get in reduction on our monthly phone bill as well, and not
Right.
have to buy a new phone system.
Yeah, right. I remember that. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Chris. That's also not counting all the contracted services through the police, right?
Yeah, that's just what's coming out of my budget.
Got it. So obviously we have.
Yes,
Not
you're
that any of
gonna
this would
have the
necessarily
HR
appear in your budget.
package. Yeah, you're gonna have the HR package, the
Right.
new RMS system that's going into the police, first due with fire, pay time, planet, the new finance package, but those are all outside of what I can control.
Right. Yeah, those are just, but I guess the city has multiple ongoing software expense commitments at this point, Bonnie, right? But Chris's, Chris's commitments, IT specific commitments are 360.
Correct.
Right. Okay. But yeah, I would agree. Have we had any feedback? I saw something, I don't remember who mentioned to me how delighted they were to discover that there was Wi-Fi at Shaw Place Park, but somebody did actually mention it to me. And have we had any feedback, like municipally? Has anybody contacted us and been like, "Oh my God, I can use my cell phone on the Wi-Fi," and right? Or we haven't
No,
gotten
not that I've heard. No.
Okay, no, somebody, so I don't remember who it was or what it was, but I remember somebody being like, do you know that there's Wi-Fi at Shaw Place?
Shaw Place has it, Memorial has it. I don't know if I will do it at Newberry.
Hmm.
But you never know. I might get bored and just slap it in there anyhow.
Okay. Yeah, see, I mean, it seems like a nice service to offer. And actually, I would think that Newberry Park might be someplace where people more specifically might benefit from it.
It's
Just because-
logistically where the building is and I'm putting my equipment and where most people are probably going to be congregating. The distance might not be conducive to having this out there.
Got it. Okay. Well, that makes sense. But yeah, anyway. That's it's a new and exciting thing. All right.
Yeah.
If I don't hear any other comments, I will not do anything. We'll move on to item number 4. Which is any related items. The one related item that I thought we were going to introduce in today's meeting is no longer on the table. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to introduce for the good of the order?
Yes, Janice doesn't have a microphone and she just texted me to let everybody know that she's all set up with 4 tables and 15 chairs and 2 tape recorders for tomorrow morning. CRC. All right.
Yeah, she
kind of
texted me
prepared.
for that stuff.
It might be standing room only then.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm curious. We'll see who you get, Eric. All right, and I'll probably see you guys there. If there are no other related items, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second that.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Aye.
I'll hope to see you tomorrow morning, Eric. I'll see you all on Thursday. Thank you.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.